It's already selling for far more than I paid for it months ago. It's already at the crossroads of quality design and historic significance, and yet it is a coin and really a series that does not get anywhere near the exposure of many of the other World Series, but I would argue that this specimen, the fourth release from the nautical ounce series of Rwanda, is one that actually has me wondering why so many don't have one, or in closer examination, why so many don't even know it exists. I'm a collector of world bullion coins. I have a diverse collection spanning this vast and beautiful world. When it comes to the brilliant juxtaposition of nature and culture, it's really hard to argue that anyone but Africa should hold first place in the quality of source material for representation on coinage. And of all the African nations that issue bullion coins, no one fancies my eye more than the beautiful nation of Rwanda. Anyone who has held a silver bullion coin from Rwanda immediately realizes it is wider in diameter than most world standards, rivaling the American silver eagle. The amazing quality from design to textual finish beckons the call of some of the first mints of the world. Maybe this is because of the brilliant views one can encounter in Rwanda, or maybe it's because Rwanda knows what it can do well and what it should delegate to others to do well on their behalf. Rwanda sources the manufacture of their bullion coins from the Bavarian State Mint and B.H. Mayer's Mint, which I believe is in Munich. Though I must say I'm not sure which of these mints in particular makes this coin or series, I can say that the reputation of both of these mints are among the best in the world, and this coin represents as such. We have faded into the weeds a little, gushing over my love for Rwandan silver, but we need to dive deep into the subject matter of this coin, which is the Mayflower. Believe it or not, this historic boat that carried roughly 102 passengers and 26 crew members on its voyage to the New World in 1620 was actually a cargo ship. This is one of the reasons the voyage was so remarkable. The passengers, who rarely went to the upper deck, had 5.5 feet of standing room in a cargo hold on a voyage that lasted over 60 days at sea. 51 men, 21 boys, 20 women, and 10 girls took to the sea, and after 66 days of tight quarters, the Mayflower dropped anchor at Cape Cod, Massachusetts, averaging around 2 miles per hour for their trip. Another cool note is that it takes time to build homes in a new world, as one might think, and thus the Mayflower served many as a winter home while the construction of their homes moved towards completion there on land. It was a rough winter where only 53 of the passengers and half the crew survived. When weather was more amicable, the Saints, as they were called, who eventually became known as the Pilgrims, moved ashore, finishing their Plymouth settlement, and in April of 1629, this fabled boat sailed back home to England. In its wake are the generations over decades, which account for, as some experts have calculated, in the tens of millions of descendants. You may actually know someone who is a descendant of those who were carried by this very ship. Some notables thought to be descended are American icons such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Robert Frost, Lizzie Borden, Sarah Palin, Ernest Hemingway, General George S. Patton, Barbara Bush, Julia Child, and Helen Keller. Never saw that last one coming. Now that you know a little bit about this fantastic feature on this coin, let's put it to our 60-point scale to see if you are validated or vindicated in your having or passing on this coin. When we gaze upon the obverse, we are met with one of the familiar friends of African bullion in the Rwandan coat of arms. It is always fun to glare into, and I will spare you the iconography lesson as I've done it in my first Rwandan video over the Okapi, but basically, Africa always has the coolest coats of arms. This is a great layout, tells a great story, and has great details. I scored a 7. Let's flip to the reverse, where we see one of the most historic boats on this planet's billions of years of existence, the Mayflower. Here, this coin brings us an anniversary of 400 years. We have the Mayflower here, exhibiting why a 2-week trip took 66 days. The sea can be a fickle friend and toss the Mayflower a curveball or two. We see the ship here at a tilt, which I love, as the asymmetry draws the eye and balances the scene quite nicely. The sea flows through the legend, bringing this imagery to the imagination, and even the background has a compass with nautical cartography. If you notice at the 12 o'clock position, you see even more parallel details, as encircled in rope we have the tools of a nautical life. What an outstanding design, and I cannot see myself scoring it less than a 10. Up next we talk Mintage, and this is a bit of a quandary. There is not a listed Mintage at APMEX, as they state the Rwanda Nautical Ounce series has been incredibly popular with intricate design. Each silver coin in this series will only be struck within a strictly limited minting period, April 2020 through March 2021, making each coin exclusive and ensuring low mintage. The final mintage numbers are currently unknown. I therefore checked Numista, who is normally very accurate, and it states that there are only 1,000 made, which seems rather unlikely unless they are referring to a proof variety or antiqued version, which do exist to my knowledge. I think it would be a small number, but I have no confirmation, and thus I have to score it a neutral and unfortunate 5. Now this coin takes another blow in cultural significance. The Mayflower was a cargo ship which in theory could have transferred goods to and from Africa, but my research indicates that the majority of the charter trips were within Europe and the New World. What is even more of an issue is even if this were a vessel set to sail to Africa, how on earth would it get to Rwanda? Look at it here on the map. Where's the ocean? It would seem impossible. This is such an amazing series, and even though there is not a strong connection, I commend Rwanda for making it to this quality, as collectible bullion would certainly be worse without this coin or series. This is a World Heritage boat, and I do think all nations benefit it, just not strongly, so I score it a 5. Now for collectability. We got the bad out of the way, and now we're back on track. You've seen the recent sales on eBay showing the might of this series and coin. Boats are increasingly popular in bullion, and this is an icon of both America and world history. We do not have a firm mintage number, but I can imagine a very strong pull for this coin as people become aware of this series and look to complete it. The design is about as flawless as we could see, and the quality matches the provenance. I scored a perfect 10. Our last area is uniqueness. The Mayflower has been featured on bullion coins a time or two, but not in this fashion or in its fit and finish. This theme of the Mayflower is also the first that I have seen by an African nation other than a copper-clad variety by Liberia. This being said, it is extremely unique, and I scored a 9, which brings us to our final thoughts and score. The Mayflower dropped anchor just short of an Elite 46 out of 60, and as you can imagine, the numbers do not always tell the story fairly. The two areas this coin scored low on were in mintage, because we do not have a firm number, and in cultural significance, which in this situation is a bit moot, as the Nautical Ounce series is probably the best series featuring boats I think I've ever seen. This being said, I think in time, demand will grow as market exposure grows, and collectors will salivate over these coins. I think it is right for every investor, collector, or history buff. And on that note, I bid you well wishes and hope you remember, as always, to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.